The average user just doesn't know much about the OnePlus brand, and that's the problem they're tackling.
They already have a great camera.
We should say it's also a big phone. 6.8-inch screen, this is a big phone.
The latest Snapdragon is going to be there for sure, and
6,000 mAh battery, that's a big standout feature. I love it.
I told you, it's shaping up to be a tremendous upgrade starting at $800. They probably realized they made a mistake. Hello everyone, welcome to PhoneArena show. Once again giving you the top industry insights from mobile tech market, the most exciting market out there.
Yeah, plenty of news this week.
Plenty of news. Even when we don't have news, we're going to create, and we have this power here at PhoneArena where we can, when there are no news out there, we can actually create the news with leaks, for example, rumors, speculation.
Extract them from various sources that are quite obscure, but still very legit.
Yeah.
And the first topic that we're going to handle today is just one such topic, which is all about recent leaks. So what is it?
All about everything we know about the OnePlus 13, the upcoming flagship, which is not such a topic because we know a lot. All of it more or less speculation and all of it rumors, but still we're fairly certain in all the details. So we know a lot about it.
Yeah, and the OnePlus is one company that has gone a bit under the radar recently, I think.
Yeah.
Because we're speaking about Samsung, we're discussing Apple, we're discussing the meteoric rise of Google Pixel phones. We have 3 Pixel phones. So we're getting more and more phones from the mainstream phone makers, but we have one more phone maker that is also making great phones that are still good value for the money.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not talking enough about it, so...
Nowhere near enough about it, and it's also, I would say it's a mainstream phone maker, OnePlus.
Yeah,
you know, even though
it's available in the US, it's available in the West, in most countries.
Yeah, one of the legit Chinese companies actually selling in the US. You can buy their OnePlus phones freely.
It's probably the only one.
Probably the only one. Yeah. And they're like, just for the uninitiated, it's OnePlus is like a sister company to Oppo.
Yeah.
And so that is why they share a lot of the hardware, but the software is often very different.
Yeah.
So OnePlus is like it's like the Western market version of Oppo, who make great phones. By the way, and one of those great phones, I'm sure, I hope so, is going to be the OnePlus 13. And so here's what we know about it. So each year, OnePlus has been, I believe, pulling the announcement and release date a little bit earlier and a little bit earlier. Kind of like what Samsung has been doing, kind of like what Google did this year.
Right.
So, well, not as radical. So here's what we have. So the OnePlus 13 is probably going to be introduced, announced this, I believe this month, actually, in October.
Okay, so we have 2 more weeks to go.
Pretty much, yeah.
Coming soon.
Should be announced now. Those who follow the companies doing, they know that each new OnePlus flagship is first introduced in China and then arrives in the Western markets.
Oh, so they're saving their best first for China, and they're only later.
For some reason, I don't know what. Maybe it's logistics, maybe it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
But but the previous phones, so the OnePlus 11, which was like kind of a renaissance for OnePlus, it launched in China in January 4th. And then the global release was on February 7th.
Right.
So about a month delay. The 12 launched in December 4th in China. And the global release actually came later in February 6th.
Okay.
So the 13, we don't know any exact dates at this point, but it's believed that they're going to announce it this month. It's not really, we're not sure when it launches in China. Maybe it's this month, maybe it's November, maybe some say it's going to be in December.
All right, but so you're saying that the OnePlus 12 was announced in December, and now they're announcing it in October.
They are announcing it in October.
So that's like nearly 2 months earlier.
Nearly, yeah. And then for the global release, we obviously don't know, but it's still, most of the rumors point to January release globally.
Oh, okay, so that's about in the same time frame as the Galaxy S25. So
yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a direct competition there with the S25.
oh, that's going to be interesting.
Aggressive OnePlus.
Right, right.
They're maybe, hope they're pretty certain in their product, which I am actually based on the rumors, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So, by the way, price-wise, is rumored to be the same as last year. So, starting at $800, but those $800 bring you a 256 gigabytes of storage.
Oh, that's awesome. It's
So
$800. That compares to $1,200 for the S20 Ultra series, S24, S25 Ultra series, or
Pretty much.
yeah. So that's nearly what 50% less. That's a massive difference.
Sure, if it's like directly compares with the Ultra,
Or maybe
the
if you
Plus,
even if you compare it against the Plus model, it's still $200 cheaper. So.
it's a great, great value.
Yeah.
Actually, so they tried something interesting with the OnePlus 10 Pro, so a few generations back.
Right.
But the 10 Pro launched at $900, and that didn't work for
Right.
OnePlus fans. Obviously, they lowered the price afterwards with the OnePlus 11, which was a great, beautiful product, launching at $700.
Yeah, they kind of brought things back with the OnePlus 11, trying to capture more of that market share. Obviously, they don't have the biggest market share.
Yeah, they don't, but they have a very loyal following.
They do, but it's mostly among power users and yeah. I guess that the average user just doesn't know much about the OnePlus brand, and that's the problem they're tackling. So in my opinion, that's the reason they're going with these cheaper prices, trying to get that market share, and from then on, it would be easier. But yeah,
maybe they try to see. Okay, so we have the brand recognition, so now let's try to capitalize on it, and it didn't work with the 10. So it's going to be at least a few more generations, perhaps, before they can afford to try again to price hike.
Yeah.
But, so what they did basically, but from the OnePlus 11 to the 12 is, so the 11 launched at $700, and then the OnePlus 12, like basically early this year flagship, launched at $800. But what they did is they just removed the 128 gigabyte version, and they only have the 256 gigabyte version.
Right.
So a bit of an Apple move in there. But that's what they did. The rumor is it's going to be the same configuration with the 13.
All right. So anyway, what's new in the OnePlus 13? What's exciting?
A lot is new in the OnePlus 13. That's going to be, I think, a pretty big release, actually. So they already have the great camera. I'm not sure exactly how it ranks with the PA camera score. Okay. I know the Galaxy S24 Ultra is first. I mean, among Western phones.
Right.
The iPhone follows.
I think it ranks slightly below the Pixel, Pixel series, but not too far behind it.
Not too far, and maybe it's actually pretty competitive in some areas. Maybe for the photos, I'm not sure about the video.
Yeah, I think video is a bit of a weaker side, but we can probably pull our PhoneArena camera score right here, quick table, and and you can see the scores the OnePlus 12 currently has. And definitely camera has been the one thing that has been holding OnePlus back, because all the other companies, Samsung, Google, and Apple, are very heavily invested in making the best cameras. And OnePlus has never really been known to be the best camera in the market. So it's interesting to see that if the OnePlus 13 is a major step forward, or if it's just gonna be still a bit behind the competition.
Who knows? Although, like the last few generations, actually, no, they had pretty strong cameras. At least for the photo quality was very strong. Now they obviously have the beautiful OnePlus Open with its Hasselblad camera, and that thing takes amazing photos.
Right.
The video is also spectacular. I don't think I have like one against one compared it with the iPhone, but it's great camera. It's a great camera phone, and so hopefully they're gonna like close the few gaps they have. in the camera performance with the 13. Now the rumors there, we don't know much about it, but I believe they're going to be a larger camera sensor. One, it's going to be a triple 50 megapixel camera. That's, I mean, when we say it's going to be, like, it means probably.
That's what we hear from leaks and rumors. And there have been quite a few leaks. So we're talking based on leaks and not just some speculation. So this is all like coming soon. Anyway, yeah.
Very, very probable stuff. So 50 megapixel main camera. Now the ultra wide is also going to be 50 megapixel. The 3x periscope zoom is probably also going to be 50 megapixel, which is not that important, but the sensors are also said to be upgraded.
So that's interesting. So OnePlus is sticking with the 3x zoom here, right?
That's what we know so far.
Okay, it's interesting because the Pixel and the Galaxy and the iPhone have all switched to 5 times zoom. Yeah. So you have that longer reach, and OnePlus sticks with 3x, which I guess makes sense. It makes the company a little bit different, but it doesn't quite match the reach of those cameras. So it's interesting.
It doesn't. At 5x, it's probably going to perform worse. Although, you know, maybe we should. It's going to be interesting when it comes. We're going to make like a direct comparison between those other cameras and the 3x. Periscope on the OnePlus 13, and we'll see what happens at 5, what happens at 7, 8, 10x. Yeah. Those very, very long ranges. So we often see, like, if you have 5x zoom camera, it shows.
Right,
when you test the mid and the long range, it helps.
Yeah. You can see it in our testing. Yeah.
Oh, AI is getting better and better. So
yeah.
We'll see about that. Now, not much else is known about the camera itself, although from what we know is they'll probably shake the design up a little bit.
Will it have a camera button? Camera control?
I hope not. I hope not. Don't add any more buttons. But no, I have.
Will it still have the mute switch?
Yeah,
OnePlus
has. That is
that's a signature thing. I love it. It's a little touch, but yeah.
And I think they removed it from one of their previous phones. I'm not sure which one was it. The 10 Pro.
I think it was like the 10T. Yeah, it was like a T release. It wasn't like the main flagship. It was.
And again, that loyal following didn't really.
It's a useful thing to have. Right? Imagine removing one of the buttons on the iPhone.
Brilliant feature.
Right. Yeah.
The signature mute switch. It's for sure it's going to return, and the camera is, the previous generations, the 11, the 12, they have like a big circular camera bump, which was moved towards one side. Yeah, we don't have it here to show it, but we can show a picture of it.
I wish we had it. I just want to really quickly talk about that styling of the OnePlus 12 camera, because it was really something special, like especially that green version that you had with little pearls inside, sparkles inside the camera, and meticulous attention to detail in the way the camera is styled. It was a thing of beauty, and that is really not something that we see from the other phone makers. This attention to detail, this craftsmanship is something
hard.
They're trying hard.
And but the rumor is that thing is going to move to the center of the back.
Okay, so it was a bit offset, and now
it's a bit off to the side. Now it's going to be centered. Perhaps it's going to be very similar to what we see in this Oppo Find X8 phone, which has the camera bump exactly in the middle.
So that means less wobble if you put it on the table.
Yeah, which is always good.
Yeah.
It's always good. That's what we know. Now, interestingly, and we're going off some weird sketches, very, very basic sketches, which reportedly leaked. It's Yogesh or Yogesh Brar. Not sure how you.
Yeah.
Is it Yogesh? Is it Yogesh?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yogesh. You're Yogesh. Now, Yogesh Brar leaked these sketches, so it shows the OnePlus 13. The camera is centered in the middle, but we also have a sketch of the OnePlus 13R.
Oh, okay.
In the R, looks very different. Now, you may remember that the 12R looks pretty much the same as the 12.
We should clarify for the viewers, the R model in OnePlus Speak is their more affordable version. It's like their FE if you're looking at Samsung phones. They're SE if you're looking at
Pretty much.
iPhones. So it's a bit cheaper. Last year it was around $500.
Which was a great
Yeah.
price for that product, and they probably realized they made a mistake. And so they decided to drive it down a little bit and make it look somewhat of a more like a mid-range, more like the mid-range phone that it is.
Right.
Because the 12R it was the same.
It was
is the flagship.
Quite
pretty much.
similar. It also had a flagship chipset, which was very impressive.
Now, yeah, and we're going to show that a very, very low-res sketch that we have, but it's showing like, something that is probably more of a mid-range design with more of a rectangular camera bump on the back. But we'll see. This is not confirmed in any way. So
Yeah.
moving on to the front, though. And by the way, the front has been, it's not leaked, it's been shown officially.
Okay.
And you don't see much, of course, on that photo because it
You
looks
kind of
like
see a screen.
phone screen. Yeah, you can't tell anything about it. But the rumor has it, they're moving to a flat display, most probably.
Oh, that's good news.
The return of the good old flat display. OnePlus was one of the last manufacturers sticking with the
And Motorola, yeah. OnePlus and Motorola.
curved OLED things from the past. And now back to the future, which is the flat display. They will probably have a little bit of a curve to the glass on the front, but it's mostly going to be more like a 3D glass.
And as for the design, because Apple, Samsung, and Google have all kind of now switched to the same-ish design with flat sides, is that something that's also coming to OnePlus, or?
Not sure about that. I haven't seen it in the rumors. No,
Okay.
we don't have like a leaked render.
That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, so not sure about this
Cool,
at
okay.
all. But it's probably somewhat unlikely because that 3D glass, it's set to create a very like bezel-less design.
Yeah.
Not that something like the iPhone 16 Pro doesn't have a very, very bezel-less design, but this, from what I saw in the leaks, is rumored to be even more so like bezel-less, and that curved screen cover glass on the front is gonna contribute to this very bezel-less effect. And if you want to have that, it probably won't work very well with very flat rails on the side.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Gotcha.
Now the camera situation, no, sorry, not the camera, but the battery, the other major factor here.
What's new there?
It's a bit of a complicated story
Why is
with
that?
the OnePlus 13 camera battery. So here's what happened. Initially, it was believed that it's going to come with the same battery and charging configuration like the 12. Now,
So maybe we should remind the
which
readers.
was 5,400 milliamp hours. And not sure about the charging, but it
So
was...
that's a good deal larger battery on the currently available OnePlus.
Yeah.
So compared to the Galaxy and to the Pixel,
Pretty
it's
much.
like what, 10% bigger? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sizable battery.
Yeah.
And but then later we got a rumor from I believe it was Yogesh, our friend Yogesh Brar, who said it was actually going to come with a 6,000 milliamp hour.
Even bigger now.
Even bigger.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Now, actually, sorry, let me correct that because I told you it's complicated.
Right.
It's a complicated story. So, it is digital chat station.
Well, that's one of the most reliable sources out of China. I've been covering. So there are a few sources in China that post consistently about new phones and leaks and digital. You probably heard about Ice Universe, which is that account with the gray cat. And the digital chat station only posts on Chinese Weibo, so it's only in Chinese. You have to kind of translate it, but that account has a great track record. So what's the rumor there?
So the rumor was initially that it's actually going to move to something like 6,000 or more milliamp hours battery, but at the same time it was going to lose the I think it even went to 6,500
Wow. Okay.
milliamp hours, but it's gonna lose its wireless charging capability in return.
Yeah.
Which would be sad because OnePlus phones and wireless charging also have like a complicated history.
Yeah, it's a back and forth.
They're not settled entirely. But now the latest rumor, what we have, again, our friend Ujesh kind of tries to settle it a little bit more, and that is, I believe, confirms the latest rumors also by Digital Chat Station, is that we're probably set for a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, which is a humongous battery.
Yeah.
And 100 watts wired charging, which is probably going to be limited in markets like the US and Europe. In the US, I believe it's 80 watts.
80, yeah.
So probably the same is going to happen this year, next year with the OnePlus 13 as well. And wireless charging is going to be at about 50 watts.
Cool, yeah.
That's what is rumored like right now.
Well, that's again pretty fast. We're so happy and so excited that the iPhone 16 Pro series and in general the iPhone 16 series got 25 watt MagSafe charging. That was
breakthrough.
Much faster than before. And OnePlus has 50 watts, so this is double the speed you get on iPhone. So this would be cool. And I'm not sure if I heard that one rumor, if it was about the OnePlus 13. Is this going to be the first phone to actually feature the Qi2 standard, which adds magnetic charging? I think I've seen some rumors floating around there. That would be quite exciting because we don't have such rumors even for the Galaxy S25. And if you've used MagSafe on the iPhones, you know how convenient it is to just snap your phone and have it charging.
And Apple did this first with the MagSafe, like a few years back.
It was in the iPhone 12, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's moving to a standard, right? With the Qi2, it's gonna like be built into the standard, so everyone is probably gonna.
Hopefully, but that was like that standard was introduced like already maybe a year ago, and we were hoping that we'll see it on the Pixel 9 at least, since Google is kind of the poster company for new Android standards. But it didn't happen, so maybe it takes a little longer to implement, and if OnePlus is first there, that would be quite exciting. I think I'll be very, very excited about this change.
I told you, it's shaping up to be a tremendous upgrade for OnePlus. So a couple more details only. Of course, we're expecting the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 4, which is probably going to be announced very soon, the chipset itself.
Yeah, we should say that unfortunately we're not going to be at the announcement, but we will be covering it.
Yeah.
Because the announcement, Qualcomm hosts these events. I don't know if you know about the special Qualcomm events. It holds them every year in Hawaii.
It's wannabe HQ in Hawaii.
So yeah, Qualcomm, hit us up. We're coming to Hawaii. just invite us.
And so yeah, the latest Snapdragon is going to be there for sure. And in a shocking piece of news, they're probably going to upgrade from IP65, which is state-of-the-art dust protection and not so much water resistance, to IP69, which is going to be state-of-the-art across the board.
Yeah, IP69, like all current flagships, the Galaxies, the iPhones, the Pixels, they have IP68, right? Yeah. So IP69 is also protected against water jets, as far as I remember. So usually if you have water under pressure, your regular smartphone is not protected against that. So the OnePlus 12 has achieved that, which is quite impressive. I haven't seen many other phones, especially flagships, have this certification.
Yeah, again, that's not set in stone yet, but this is what the rumors are telling us right now, and it's going to have IP69, so a very robust, very rugged device for the OnePlus 13, and I think that's it so far that we know about it.
I think one other change that is really welcome is the switch to, I've heard this rumor, switch to ultrasonic fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, ultrasonic.
So they used to be one of the few companies that still used optical sensors. And basically, that's a good change. Especially if you use your phone at night, the optical sensor kind of lights up in your face. It's not very pleasant. This one is a bit faster. It's the same one that the Galaxies use. So
improvements across the board.
So which do you have like a favorite feature of the OnePlus 13? The one thing that kind of sets it apart. What would that be for you?
I really want to see the new design, which I think is going to be
All right.
beautiful if it ends up looking something like this Oppo.
We should say it's also a big phone. 6.8-inch screen. This is a big phone.
Yeah, although the last couple of generations didn't feel as large, they have because maybe it was because of the very curved displays. They were like somewhat narrow in the design, so they were easy to hold. So they don't feel like too massive, at least.
Yeah.
Favorite feature. I don't know. I think it's shaping up as a very strong upgrade across the board with everything. I love that OnePlus is doing this, and now they don't seem to have like a glaring omissions anywhere. If they don't end up sacrificing wireless charging for a super big battery, but we'll see.
I think for me is that huge battery, the 6,000 mAh battery. That's a big standout feature. I love it. I think like if we're talking about big phones, it's already big. Why not put the biggest possible battery inside?
Absolutely.
And if Samsung does this, I think it would be huge news. But OnePlus is kind of in the lead and it's taking up the space as a battery life leader, hopefully. So this will be exciting to see.
And I also like the relative consistency of OnePlus that you can expect top shelf performance. Like there's almost like no question that it's going to have the 8 Gen 4. Whereas what I don't like with Samsung is every year there's a little bit of a roller coaster there. If it's going to be the Snapdragon, is it going to get the Exynos? Now they're moving to Dimensity MediaTek for the FE next year probably. So there's all of this reshuffling of the configurations there, trying to make savings and more efficient models, in business. But for OnePlus, at least, they're pretty consistent.
And I had to point out one thing that I think this area is one area where OnePlus is still kind of lacking, is we see that Google, Apple, Samsung, or at least Google and Samsung have both switched to 7 years of software upgrades. And OnePlus has not done that. The OnePlus 12 has a commitment for 4 software updates, which is a lot less. So I'd be very curious to see if OnePlus 13 makes that jump, or if it will still have that one downside, which is a smaller software update window. So that would be also interesting to see.
Yeah, they do have the smaller update window, although we're all enthusiasts here, so we change our phones way often.
Yeah, 4 years I think is still pretty good, but yeah, if you can get 7, why not?
Absolutely. But speaking of software support, let's talk about crappy phones, because we don't do enough of that here.
I'm a huge fan of crappy phones. I love them.
Okay. What's the newest crappy phone out there on the market?
So we have a brand new release when it comes to super cheap phones. I think this is an exciting category. It's the new Samsung Galaxy A16 5G.
Okay.
And in this category, it's important to say it's 5G because not all of them are. And this is like kind of your really dirt cheap phone. It's the cheapest it can get.
There are cheaper phones, like the 06. They have 05 or 06.
Yes, those are, technically you're right. Technically you're right. They have the A05, A06 series. These are even cheaper. But this is what like the cheapest
legit phone.
The cheapest phone that we can actually kind of recommend, and we're having our reservations even about those phones. So the price is around $200.
Okay.
There is some competition there, and Samsung is launching every year. It got the A15 series. Previously, it had the A14 models. Now it's on the A16. Just released in the Netherlands, in Europe, out of the blue silently with a press release. But the official release date in Europe is gonna be late October, it's probably coming to the US maybe in November. We'll see, but probably coming sooner rather than later. And this is interesting because I don't know if you knew that, but if you look at the stats, we have the official stats for the best-selling phones in the world for 2023. And those say, if you look at the numbers, you have the Galaxy A14, which was the phone back then, the A14 5G and A14 4G, which enter in the top 15 ranking. But if you combine their market share, the A14, 4G and 5G, if you take these two models, they end up on number 3. So this is the top 3, enters in the top 3 of the best-selling phones in the world. It's an important phone. Like, of course, it's people who are living in those developing countries, I should say, and they are buying them more, but they are influential phones. And I was really surprised because preparing for this episode, I took a look at Best Buy for the A15 current model, and it had a very overwhelmingly positive reviews. And I wasn't expecting this for a $200 phone. Many people enjoyed actually using them. But the Galaxy A16 is here, so this is the big name in the cheap phone industry. So the big complaint here is that the performance is the weak link.
Yeah.
And Samsung is like deliberately, obviously, handicapping this in one area, and that's the performance.
Why? It has like lousy chipset.
The chipset is not improved very much in the A16. It was quite slow in the A15. And the biggest problem is it still only has 4 gigs of RAM.
4 gigs of RAM on an Android phone.
On an Android phone, this is not good. So this means everything happens just with a little bit of stutter. When you're taking pictures, it takes an extra second or two. And it's a slow phone. And that's the main complaint. If you go to people's reviews, and even if I go back to my experience with it, it was just the phone being stuttery. And our colleague Martin wrote an interesting piece about the new A16, criticizing it exactly for this. That this is it's criminal that even a $200 phone still comes with just 4 gigs of RAM in 2024, soon to be 2025. And there are some alternatives you can buy for slightly more that give you as much as 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. Options from Motorola, some other companies like Xiaomi, if you can find them discounted, and they are discounted quite often. So if you're looking carefully, you can get a much better deal. But the Galaxy A16 is not a bad phone per se, I would say. Right. It still has this one downside, but it has a pretty strong camera, and this latest edition adds a bigger screen. So previously it used to have a 6.5-inch screen. It's now making the jump to 6.7 inches. So that's one of the big changes. And the other one is it's getting 6 years of software updates, while previously it used to have only 4. So again,
imagine how it's going to run.
That's the other thing. Like, okay,
years.
A phone with 4 gigs of RAM, a slow processor, 6 years software updates, that's cool on paper, but...
And what's the processor? Is it some sort of Exynos?
Yeah, it's launching usually in 2 variations, two SKUs. One is a MediaTek processor for some markets, and in other markets, it's getting an Exynos chip, like the 1330 or whatever. It's a slower version of the Exynos chip. And the price is going slightly higher, at least what we have in Europe, from 200 to 230. That's like 10%, 15% jump in price. So yeah.
And those, by the way, those 4 gigs of RAM probably mean no AI for you? No.
Yeah, I would bet against AI on this phone. And if there are some features, they're going to be very limited. And yeah, as far as the design comes, still all plastic. The main camera is actually surprisingly decent on this phone. It's a 50 megapixel camera, and the previous generation also had the same ones, was decent, but then the ultra-wide camera, only 5 megapixels, and you have a very rough 2 megapixel macro camera, basically useless, but Samsung just puts them so you can see that it has 3 cameras on the back. But battery life was solid at 5,000 milliamp hours last year, same battery size this year, 25-watt charging. And yeah, it's coming soon if you're looking for a budget phone that has a decent camera but is still slow. Oh, there you have it. That's what's new with cheap phones. It's some development. I wouldn't say it's super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and there's always this case for, well, if you pay just slightly more, you can get a better, but that's always the case. I mean, you can always play this game where, for just $50 more, I can get this one. And then for $50 more, I can get this one.
It's always the case, but I would argue, like, this is what I argued last year in my review of the A15. Now, $200 phone just buys you some phone like this one, but with way too many compromises. If you want a phone that really feels decent, not great by any means, decent, you need to spend at least $300. This gives you a faster processor in Samsung's In Samsung series, that's the A25 series. You get a much faster processor. You get 120 hertz instead of 90 hertz. And you can feel that it's not choppy anymore.
Does the A16 have 90 hertz display?
Yeah. 90 hertz on the A16, and previous generation also had a 90 hertz display.
Also, last year they had 90 hertz.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that it does better than the latest iPhone 16.
Yeah, but to be honest, it has a faster refresh rate, but you don't feel it.
You cannot take advantage of it. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story about the Galaxy A16 5G.
Got it. Okay, yeah. Someday we're gonna do like a broader overview of the cheap phone market. I feel like we should do that at some point, because
why not?
Sure, A16, but what else is there?
Right.
For $100, for $200, for $300. These are the cheapest price points.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. And on that note, thank you for being with us with the PhoneArena show. If you like the show, like it, subscribe, share it with your friends. Tell everyone about it because it's definitely worth it.
And also, go in the comments and let us know what you think, what you enjoyed watching, what you want to hear us discuss next. That's always interesting to see your guys' thoughts and opinions.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you around.